So the name of the exhibit is Reflections on Regeneration, an Artful Response to Our Changing Environment. The theme of this year's show is Gardens of Tomorrow, and we've been exploring that theme and bouncing ideas back and forth to see what does that really mean and where are we going in the future, and that's kind of the tack that we're taking. Well, the overarching theme of the show and PHS in general is to support people through horticulture. And so we're talking about community, we're also talking about individuals, and so we're trying to reflect upon where we want to be in 5 years, 10 years in terms of that dynamic.
I would say the goal of the exhibit this year is to represent the future of gardening and plants, especially when we're thinking about them in the built environment and how we interact with them as humans, especially in cities and in places where we are living. We want to show ways that we can incorporate plants as well as reuse materials that we might not think to.
From a plant perspective, the goal of the show is really to express the beauty of the variety of different plants that we can show off to the world. We've got lots of different plants from all different areas, and we just want to show off how interesting and unique these plants can be.
I think that our exhibit, and one of the big strengths of it, is that it's trying to be forward-facing and thinking about the future, but also grounded in some of the traditions in terms of form and material character that we utilize and look back to in landscape design year over year, show over show, decade over decade, and really century over century in landscape design. We were inspired by many different things this year, but first and foremost, the idea of engagement and direct engagement with nature is something that I think is a thread that runs through all of our exhibits that we produce here at Temple University. But increasingly thinking about tomorrow, thinking about today and into tomorrow, thinking about the future.
I think the goal of the exhibit this year, in my own words, is kind of showing people how we can adjust as we move into the future. Maybe not in such an idealized way, but more of just things we find at home and how we can adjust for longevity.
From a plant perspective, when visitors look at our exhibit, we want to showcase a few things, one of them being highlighting native plants. Most of our plants are native. There are a few non-native plants, mainly edibles in there, but by and large, the use of native plants in their landscapes, as well as edible plants that you can grow without using pesticides. So all of our plants grown in our greenhouse are all sustainably grown. They're watered with rainwater from our underground cisterns. We have not sprayed pesticides in this space in 5 years, so we're using biocontrols, natural enemies. So our visitors will be able to see that yes, you can actually grow these plants in a sustainable manner.
I would say just trying our best to make everything look as neat as possible for when we get judged. I think that will be on Friday. So a lot of it is just pest maintenance, trying to keep that to a minimum, weeding, pruning, pretty much anything to make the plant look good.
Developing the design by getting a conceptual sketch from our professor, Michael Laferno, and we were all assigned different topics, and we kind of used that concept and got feedback weekly with our professors.
We are building a reflection pool since it's all about reflection. That could be taken in a physical or a metaphorical way. That and with all the textures and everything that we have there surrounding the pool and inside the pool as well, people could get a hands-on educational feel for that as well.
My role in the flower show process is to really make sure that the plants are healthy. I'm focusing specifically on pests and disease management, so keeping the plants healthy, managing any pest pressure, managing disease pressure, and really getting the plants up to their healthiest standards and aesthetic before we put the exhibit together.
We're trying to get that futuristic feel, but also keep in mind that we want to be realistic and we want people to reuse and use things that we have now so we can aim for a more sustainable future and something that's going to be a lot more reusable, or something that people can see and be oh, I can do that in the future and that'll look cool.
Something that I hope visitors get out of seeing our exhibit and experiencing it is just the excitement of the flower show itself and all the hard work that we've been putting into it, as well as seeing like how creative you can be with a really broad design like Gardens of Tomorrow and seeing where different people take it.